Johnny from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, he said, everyone is saying the playoff seeding needs to be fixed. What's the argument in keeping it the way it is? You know, this is a very, very astutely worded question. What Johnny's saying is, by his estimation, everybody looked at the playoff seeding this past year and said, I think we need to fix this. I am included, Johnny. I looked at it and I said, good for Boise, but there's no way they should have a first round bye just because they won the Mountain West. I don't think Arizona State should have a bye just because they won the Big 12. It ended up screwing Oregon in the process. So I think a lot of people have looked at it, Johnny, as you said, and they've said, yeah, you know, you can keep the playoff whatever size, but we shouldn't have these ridiculous baked-in parameters for who can and can't have a first-round bye. And that's the overwhelming sentiment right now. As far as I could tell, an overwhelming supermajority of college football fans would prefer just straight seeding. And if you want to bake in guarantees for the conference champs, whatever. Personally, I never even favored that. But I get it. I will cave on that. You can have guarantees for your conference champs, but certainly no guarantee that those are going to be the only ones with first-round byes. What Johnny is asking is, well, why is this even debatable? Who's on the other side of this? What's their point? I'm glad you asked, Johnny. I took it to the streets, Michael McDonald style, and I found out that there are a few points. By the way, all that means is I know 70s music very well. It's an insult to call it yacht rock. Watch the documentary, people. It's not yacht rock to the people who recorded it. But anyway, I know 70s music. That's where the reference came from. But also, I know some people who feel this way. I know some people who actually did like the way it was this past year. And while I staunchly disagree with them, I was willing to hear them out. And they said that they like that system because it really, really crystallizes the value and places importance on winning a conference title. My response to that is, number one, it's very arbitrary, but you don't care about that. Number two, this is 2025. To pretend like all conference champs are created equal or are even in the same ballpark in terms of value of accomplishment is ludicrous. You got two major conferences and then everyone else in college football right now. So then their response is, well, we don't care. The SEC and the Big Ten get their way on everything else. There should still be a seat at the table for the little guy. There should still be some guarantee for the little guy. And boom, once they say that, conversation's over. Because at that point, they've displayed they just think a different way. That's okay. There's room for all at the table of college football. Hey, quick timeout. Check and see if you're subscribed to the channel. If you're not, make sure you do. It's free. It doesn't obligate you or sign you up for anything. It just helps us keep the channel free. All right, back to the show. But when I hear someone say that, it means they're not about logic-based structure. They enjoy the chaos. They enjoy the imbalance. They love disrupting. And if you're that kind of person, you're that kind of person. But that means you looked at Boise as well last year and you said, yeah, winning the Mountain West probably isn't the same level of accomplishment as being the runner-up in the Big Ten or the SEC, but I don't care. Everything after the but is irrelevant, immunity. Everything following that is just going to get a smile and a head nod from me, but that's not a serious debate. For guys like me and you, Johnny, we look at it and we say, that's crazy. But you asked me how anyone could disagree with this. That's how they disagree with it. But to remind you what we're talking about here, we have the way it played out in 2024. If we were to go with the way that many of us want to go, and that is to just straight seed it, 1 through 12 with your conference champs baked in, that's the order. And if you're number 2 or number 4 or number 3 or number 1, you're going to get a first round bye. It doesn't matter if every one of you are from the ACC or one of you is from the SEC and Big 10 and Big 12 and whoever it is, you're going to get the first round byes. If we were to have seeded the tournament that way this past year, think about how different life is for Oregon. As it was, Oregon gets the first round bye, and then they end up playing Ohio State, the hottest team, best team in the tournament. Well, Oregon's path would have had them still with a first round bye, but they would have played the winner of Indiana-Boise. They would have been an overwhelming favorite against either. My guess is they would have beaten either. They then would have moved on to play either Penn State, Notre Dame, or Clemson. they would have out-rostered all three of them as well. No guarantee that they would have won, but they had just played Penn State and beat them. My guess is they'd be a solid favorite against either Clemson or Notre Dame. And notice, you could tell me, hey, whether they lost to Ohio State in round 2 or lost to them in the championship game, they still would have lost to them. Maybe they would have. But there's a lot more that could go wrong for Ohio State when they have to play 1, 2, 3 games before they get to face you. And one of them would have been against Texas, and the other one would have probably been against either Tennessee or Georgia. You got a lot more opportunity to get injured or just get beat. And then if they beat you in the championship game, they beat you in the championship game. But Oregon essentially got punished last year for being good, and that shouldn't be that way. So the big question, of course, as we talk about this is, will anything change? Here we are. It is March 16th. We still don't know if there will be rule changes for this upcoming year. We all know it's going to get torched, and we're going to start from scratch in 2026 and beyond. But there is still an effort being made to change the parameters, to change the rules for the playoff this upcoming year. Will it happen?